Us out, and it's not just while I've been here, it's kept this town, these capital reserve accounts are not some invention that this board came up with. They've been there for years, and they've kept this town out of debt.
No,
We're not
but
saying,
you
we're not
already
saying that,
just
because we think they're
transferred
a good
tonight.
thing, but we have something that we really need to spend the money on, and that's what these are for, even though it isn't set aside for that. There's gotta be some way that we can use this money. It's set aside for a rainy day, and we had a rainy day.
I don't disagree with you, we can look into it, but I'm telling you, I had Janice call Audit and Control, and they got a completely different start. So we'll check it out.
I believe she spoke with Mitch Morris, if the person referred to in your...
He's the only guy that I would believe anything
Yeah,
in
me
that sheet
too.
of paper. Only because I was here when he came down and done his first audit. We got something in common. Two old guys that are just sitting around wondering what's happening. He don't want to retire either, does he? Can we move on? We will look into this. But right here tonight, you've used one of those capital reserve accounts to the tune of $8,000 that you would have had to take out of the general fund, and it would have affected the unexpended balance. They are there for a reason, and a good reason. Whether this is a good reason, we have a problem. But I gotta tell you one thing that bothers me a little bit. If we were gonna build a new building, and we were gonna spend $300,000, wouldn't we go to a referendum and ask the people? What about, you know, I bump into people all over, not just Watson Hollow. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do something here, but there are people that don't even know there's a problem in Watson Hollow that live in this town. And if you ask them, hey, why are you gonna raise my tax bill? Well, the other side of that coin is when something happens over there, we'll be there. So there's two sides to the coin. Not everybody, like I said way in the beginning, this isn't all peaches and cream where you come and get money. There's a lot of people that don't like this. They're just not here helping out. It's a bad situation no matter how you look at it. It's not a good thing. I mean, but now you got this other little hook. You got these FEMA guys, and they're all nice fellas. Everything's fine. But when I heard that today, I almost threw up. They got the right to say what they're going to pay for in that stream and what they're not going to pay for. And then when you go on private property and they say, no, you can't pull this down the stream, you got to push it up on the banks. Okay, so now if you live there, we're going to push all this stuff with your permission, and then we make a hell of a mess. How happy are those people going to be? There's all kinds of crap that goes with this, I'll tell you. It's not that easy. And I'm really frustrated by it, if you can tell by my actions. It's just a losing proposition for the whole town. It's not a fun thing.
Excuse me.
And before this gets out on the street and somebody blames me, I found out also today that in the beginning we were told that the roll-offs that we provided out in Boyceville were going to be paid by FEMA. They're not going to be paid by FEMA. They're not going to be paid by FEMA because it's not a town road. The state, if we can talk them into, can apply for it. Yes?
In terms of what FEMA can do, a missionary from our church, my church, Living Word Chapel, just came back from Joplin, Missouri, where FEMA has just dried up their funds. They still have unidentified bodies in refrigerators. So basically, we're living in a time where you can't really count on following through with anything. FEMA has dried up. And I would ask everyone on this board to take this experience where you ran into a wall, you had people who were extremely upset and in bad situations, and that you had no recourse. People you wanted to help and you couldn't. Situations you wanted to address and you couldn't. And I'm not going to stop beating this horse because it ain't dead yet. So you take this situation and pick up that comprehensive plan and look at all the different ways. Control that you now have is extended. Riparian buffers, taking control of land that's next to a stream that could affect, I read a lot, I know where a lot of this legislation came from, and it's legislation. And it's very hard on farmers, it'd be very hard on someone like John Ingram. There are areas where they're keeping livestock away from streams because they decided that urine or cow flatulence is a bad idea in their water. And I'm not kidding. So I'm asking you to take this experience where you have run into a brick wall with these alphabet agencies, pick up the comprehensive plan. It's really boring, and I've read it more times than I should admit. Look at what is in there. And if you want to know why I'm on fire about this, because I pay attention. Some people pay attention to time flies. Some people can bake. I read this stuff. My family they were lobbyists and politicians, and I read this stuff, and it is bad. And you're going to take the bad you've experienced now, and the people you wanted to help and you couldn't help, and you're going to exponentiate it. So I'm asking you politely, even though when I brought it up before, I wasn't treated politely, but I'm going to start from zero. I'm going to start from polite again. I'm asking you to look at what came out of that planning board debacle, because the people in the Catskill watershed people are not looking out for us. They're looking out for a New York City agenda where people are just in the way. That's it. Secondly, I think it's extremely important to look into the reserves, because when you break through that tax cap, every other tax increase is going to be built on a higher platform. And when you look at how this devolving area, the whole global meltdown we're in, every penny counts. You do not want to raise that. What makes Olive unique is that we have not low-income housing where people are in these gulags. My first home I bought in Harlem, the people there fought against public housing like crazy. That's what started the Harlem Renaissance. I was born in Harlem. My first house was in Harlem. I worked in Harlem. And I can tell you, low-income housing is awful. What we have here, low-income people in their homes, that's beautiful. You don't want to create some gulag and some separate level of society, because it turns into a catastrophe. People don't like being isolated. It's one thing when you're old. My father lived in an old, like Tongwar Pines. My father lived in one of them. When people are together because they're old, that's fine. When you get a collection of people, you live here because you're broke. I saw it destroy Huntington Station where I lived. I saw it destroy Harlem where I was born. And I saw it, and I'm not going to watch it. And now they're having a meeting in Saugerties because the planning board and the town board pulled a fast one on the people there. So I'm not going to stop beating this horse. It ain't dead. I'll be dead before I stop beating. I'm politely asking you to look into that book, because you're inviting 10 times more of what you're earnestly and honestly trying to rectify now. Thank you.
Linda, can I comment on your comments?
Yes, you may.
Number one is, if you look at it says draft. If you look at this is all the changes the town board wants to make from what the planner put in there. That's number one. I think you'll find that the revised edition will be much different than what you're reading. That's number one. Number two, I don't quite understand why everybody doesn't understand that a comprehensive plan has no regulatory enforcement. Yeah, don't shake your finger, it doesn't. It's not a regulatory document. It has no enforcing values.
That's
Okay?
not true.
It is true.
It's absolutely true.
It is absolutely true.
That's not even what
in the
your
law
minutes
that way.
state. Then what was going on there? That's not what the company you